Something big is brewing with the Winnipeg Jets. As just a few games ahead of the playoffs, a new report has revealed shocking details on one of the team's best defensemen. And with the current playoff outlook, things are getting crazier by the day. We're going to break it all down in this episode of Hat-Trick HQ and Winnipeg Jets Digest. But before we do that, KC, a quick reminder to all of you watching out there to hit that subscribe button. About 72% of you who watch these videos are not actually subscribed to the channel. So if you want to stay up to date with everything that's happening around the NHL with the Winnipeg Jets and your favorite players in the NHL, be sure to hit that subscribe button. But a lot to get to today, KC, revolving around the Winnipeg Jets, as we're just a couple games away, four, in fact, to be exact, ahead of the playoffs, and it's going to be very exciting for the Jets and their fans because of the disappointment of last year. But let's dive right into it. We have a update on Neal Pionk to start, and he was skating this morning and taking line rushes with the team. And not only that, he was taking rushes on power play 1, where he normally is, or, is sometimes. So he was taking rushes with that as well. And there is no Nikolai Ehlers. We're going to get into that tonight, or Luke Schenn. There's an interesting update about that as well. But, with Neal Pionk, his absence from the team, it has been a big thing for this team. Without him in the lineup this year, they haven't been that good. Him and Sandberg have been brilliant for this team together. So him coming back, what do you think this does for the team heading right into the playoffs? We're only 4 games away from the playoffs.
This is a huge ad for the Winnipeg Jets now that he's coming back. Like you said, Sandberg and Pionk could be up there with maybe the best pairing in the NHL this year. I would put it up there. I'd put it in the top 10 for sure. These guys have been fireworks for the Winnipeg Jets on the back end, and a real reason to why this team has been so successful. Pionk has just been able to quarterback this offense and quarterback their power play into another level, and they've just kind of kicked it into a new gear this season, and it's because of a lot of guys like Neal Pionk stepping up and becoming a even better player than what he already was. So when they lost him, yes, it was bad and they didn't look the same, but they were still able to pick up the pieces and get a few wins. So you can now see that without him, they can win, but with them, it makes them an even better team. And I wouldn't want to be at the team on the other side of the ice against the Winnipeg Jets in the playoffs, especially if Pionk and Velarde are back.
Absolutely. I mean, he's been fantastic this year. And like you said, spending time on the power play, obviously Josh Morrissey's up there as well, but he's been spending some time up there. He's been a great offensive player for the team, and he still likes to throw the hip checks around too, which I appreciate. It's a lost art, so love that for him. And as you notice in these line rushes, and as mentioned as well, no Luke Schenn taking the line rushes. And Scott Arniel said that Luke Schenn went to go see his family with 2 days in between games. And Luke Schenn's been doing this. He's been flying back and forth to go see his family and then rejoin the team. So I wonder if that, obviously, he's going to stick with the team through this. Maybe he's looking for a place. We don't know the specifics on that, but I think that's pretty interesting that he hasn't moved his family yet, and that's something that he's going to be dealing with, I assume, for the rest of the season into the playoffs, which is very interesting to keep an eye on. But at the same time, Nikolai Ehlers will be a game time decision, so he may not miss the game. He may play, but he was not taking morning skate or line rushes. And Neal Pionk looks like he will be returning. Now, I think that Neal Pionk might be closer with everything that he's gone through and how long he's been out, but we'll see how that kind of shapes up in that way. But again, 2 guys that the Jets could desperately, use in their lineup, because this is still a great team. Of course, we know that. But, you add Ehlers back into the lineup, it lengthens the lineup. And I've been talking about that a lot, Casey, in terms of lengthening the lineup. Look at the defense on this team, right? They are pretty deep. And how do you feel about the defense heading into the playoffs? Because that was a question mark last year in the playoffs. Another question mark was obviously Connor Hellebuyck. But now, assuming that you have Schenn in there instead of Fleury, how do you feel about the defense heading into this year's playoffs? Because honestly, I think it's a lot deeper.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at this, it's been as deep as it's ever been, and Schenn's name isn't even on here. A big ad for them, and obviously he's dealing with some personal stuff, and we hope it's not too serious that he's having to fly back and for it every day, but hopefully he does figure that out. But you got Hanola here, who's basically playing your 7th D right now, and he's a pretty good defenseman as well. So I think having such a deep D core for this team is going to be critical, because like you've said in the past, they haven't had the deepest defensemen through their 3 pairings, and it has cost them at times. It's cost them series at times. So I think that's a big thing that they went into this season saying we need to strengthen our D-core and get some very good solid pairings, and that's what they've done with Morrissey and DeMello and Pionk and Sandberg. They've really established some great connections back there on the blue line, and I think that's been a big reason to their success. I mean, another reason is their offense has been on absolute fire. So I mean, you can't fault that either. And of course, Hellebuyck is still one of the best goalies in the NHL. So I think this team has really, instead of focusing on one area, they've kind of well-rounded their team, and it's leading to their success.
And I think you need to do that if you want to win a Stanley Cup. There's a lot of teams that do that. We've seen, a lot of teams that won the Stanley Cup, they're not front-loaded like a team like the New York Rangers or a team like the Toronto Maple Leafs, for example. Right, like they're very well rounded, and I think that that's a good point. Like they have a lot of really good pairings back there in the defensive end, or with the defensive pairings, instead of just a couple random defensemen kind of thrown together. They work in unison with each other, and I think that's really good, especially heading into the playoffs. Of course, you might have to deal with injuries, but that's something that I think the Jets do very well, and next man up mentality as well. So one thing I wanted to touch on as well is, Neal Pionk has been nominated. Every team gets a nomination for the Bill Masterton Trophy, and then obviously there's, one person wins it at the end at the awards. But Neal Pionk has been nominated. So any quick thoughts on this, Casey? I mean, he's been a fantastic player ever since he's come over from the New York Rangers for this team, and he is this year's nomination for the Bill Masterton.
Yeah, there's definitely no better story for the Winnipeg Jets for Neal Pionk to get this nomination. I think he's definitely deserving of this, and just on top of the season that he's had, getting this nomination, coming back soon, has got to be a huge boost for this guy. And I know he's itching to get back on the ice, and now having this on his resume as well is definitely going to be good for him coming back. I think we're going to see him buzzing when he gets back on the ice, Darius.
Absolutely. I mean, when he comes back, it's going to add an added boost to the team. He's nominated for the Bill Masterton. Like, you're 4 games away from the playoffs. Like, I think they're going to be ready to go. They're going to have that juice, so it's going to be fun to watch. But one thing, again, that I wanted to note before we move on to some of the playoff implications and what the playoffs might look like for the Jets is Chaz Lucius. He was forced to retire from playing pro hockey. Yesterday, we learned that he was diagnosed with EDS, so he is forced to retire, and we are wishing him the best. One of the best names, I thought, like when he was drafted, I was like, that is a hockey name, Chaz Lucius. So all the best to him and his family. That was announced yesterday, and obviously all Winnipeg Jets, fans, media chiming in with this. He was a first rounder in 2021 and was working his way, through the system and playing pro hockey still, but unfortunately he's been forced to retire, and don't want to skip over that too quickly. But again, our best thoughts to his family and of course the player. But in terms of what's happening with the Jets and moving forward into the playoffs, I mean, one Winnipeg Jet was quoted as saying, it means so much to us to have that building full. And the building has been full, and that's been called into question a lot over the last couple of years. The building hasn't always been full, and are the Jets going to move? I'm not saying that that's the case, and I don't think that's going to happen, but that has been a question the last couple of years. And this year, it's been packed. The Jets have been playing well. It's a feel-good story for the team. And heading into the playoffs with the current outlook, right, the Jets have 110 points at the time we're recording this video. Dallas 106. I don't know if Dallas is going to catch them. Mathematically, they still can, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think the Jets are going to win the division at this point in time. Who they're playing in the playoffs, still kind of up in the air. It could be the Minnesota Wild, which I think is a very interesting matchup as well. It could even be the St. Louis Blues, who are a great story, and they just beat the St. Louis Blues to end their 12-game win streak. So, Casey, what are you thinking about the Jets going into the playoffs? Is it a different story this year? Are they going to make it out of the first round? Is it Dallas? Is it Minnesota, or is it St. Louis? Do you think you can get past either of those teams?
Yeah, if I'm a Jets fan right now, I got my fingers and toes crossed that we don't have to go up against the Red Hot Blues. I mean, I know they did end their streak the other night, but I mean, that team is buzzing right now. Like, I can't believe how good that team is playing. But to the Winnipeg Jets' credit, they have a great team, and I do think that it is a different story for the Jets this season. I think that they will get out of this first round this year. I think it will be a tough series, whether it's the Wild or the Blues. It's not going to be a clean sweep, in my opinion. It's going to be a battle, but I think it's a battle that the Winnipeg Jets could definitely come out on the good side of. And like you said, if this barn gets packed and the whiteout is in Winnipeg, I think this team is going to be buzzing at an all-time high going into the playoffs. Just red hot. After red hot season, this team is going to be buzzing. I think it's a different year. I think there's a different feeling around the Winnipeg Jets this year. A lot of people are kind of starting to take notice and saying, hey, they can make some noise here in the playoffs. And I think if they can get all their players back healthy, this team can definitely get out of the first round this year, Darius.
Absolutely. I think that they have everything going in their favor so far this year, and it's just continued since the start of the season, right? So maybe I think that they do make it past the first round. I think it'd be tough if they end up playing the St. Louis Blues. I mean, they're feeling it right now. Minnesota would be a great series again to see. Obviously, we saw that many moons ago in 2017 as well. But again, I think that they're going to end up finishing first, and then maybe you end up seeing Dallas down the road in the second round as well, and that could be a very interesting matchup. But we want to hear what you have to say in the comments about the Jets' current positioning. Do they finish in first? I think they do. I think they end up winning the division, of course, but and they've been there almost the entire season anyway, so that would be a great story. Let us know what you think as well about Neal Pionk and like the defense pairings and everything that's going on with the team. I think they're going to be ready to go once the playoffs start. Everybody should be back feeling as healthy as possible. We know these guys are not 100% as the season ends, but let us know what you think in the comments. And if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button so you get to stay up to date with everything going on around the NHL and the Winnipeg Jets.